Hey, Kim here from Still Spirits, and today I'm going to run through showing you how to run your first distillation using the Create Plus 2-inch components. We're going to be using a whiskey wash we prepared earlier. If you'd like to see the recipe for that, head to the description where you'll find a link.
Please note that in certain countries, alcohol distillation and the possession of distilling equipment is illegal and permits and licenses may be required. For guidance or advice, contact your relevant local authorities.
So today the components that we're going to be using out of the Create Plus range is the sight glass. We've got the straight tube, we have the 90-degree elbow with a thermo well, the beeping alarm thermometer, another 90-degree elbow, a shotgun condenser, and a vented collection cup here, as well as a voltage controller. We'll be connecting these to the 25-litre Create Plus boiler. The recommended setup that we're using today is just an example and starting point if you're not sure how to start with building your own modular setup. However, these components can be used as you see fit. Today we'll be modelling a low reflux setup.
First, we're going to get our multi-tube condenser ready. This is also commonly known as a shotgun condenser. Wrap the thread on both hose barbs with 2 to 3 revolutions of PTFE or thread tape in the clockwise direction. Assemble both hose barbs onto the condenser's ports and tighten with a wrench. Using a jug or siphon, transfer your wash into the boiler. Then add your ceramic boil enhancers and distilling conditioner. Next, we're going to connect the components, ensuring we have a silicone gasket between each connection. Once your boiler contents are ready, place the distilling setup and boiler lid onto the boiler and secure with the clips. Connect hoses with an internal diameter, or ID, between 6 and 7.9 mm to the 2 hose barbs. For hoses with a smaller ID, applying hot water to the hose end may assist with assembly. For hoses with a larger ID, hose clamps may be required to ensure a secure connection. Ensure that the water inlet hose is connected to the lower hose barb and the water outlet hose to the upper hose barb. Connect or direct to the other end of each hose according to your distillation system's requirements. Turn on the thermometer, connect the boiler to the voltage controller and then to the power supply and switch it on. If your boiler has dual element control switches, make sure both are set to the on position. When the thermometer reaches 55 degrees Celsius, turn on the water so that the water flow rate is between 1 to 1.5 litres per minute. For the stripping run, the voltage controller should be turned to maximum output. Distillate should start coming out soon, and since this is a stripping run, we haven't taken cuts. Collect the distillate until it reaches below 30% ABV. Then turn off the boiler and disconnect the power. Once finished, turn off your cooling water supply and wait for the boiler contents to cool before discarding. Now that we've performed a stripping run, it's time for us to do a spirit run to refine our rum spirit. You'll need to dilute your spirit run to below 40% ABV with water. Again, add your ceramic boil enhancers and distilling conditioner to the boiler. We'll be taking cuts using small numbered containers with a volume of around 150 ml. Label these with heads and tails so you know which jars are which. With less volume in the boiler, we recommend initially setting the high temperature alarm at 5 degrees Celsius above ambient. This is the temperature displayed before starting the boiler. Turn the boiler and voltage controller on to full power to start the run. Once temperature is reached, the alarm will sound, meaning it's time to turn on the water supply. Adjust the water flow rate to 1 to 1.5 litres per minute. Then reset the high alarm to 70 degrees Celsius. This will be the start of your 4 shots collection. At around 50 degrees Celsius, you will begin to see drops of distillate coming out. Drips will continue slowly until you reach about 70 degrees Celsius. At this point, turn down your voltage controller until you reach 3 to 4 drops per second. Collect the 4 shots, usually the first 200 ml, and discard these. Next, your distillation will be entering the head section, which contains a lot of the lower boiling point components as well as ethanol. Turn up the heat slightly so that you have faster drips but not a steady stream. Now we're on to the hearts section of our distillation. These are the best part of the spirit and will make up the base of your blend. Swap the small jar for a larger collection vessel. Turn up the heat so that a steady, broken stream is achieved, the size of a pencil lead, intermittently broken from time to time. As the distillation progresses, you will need to adjust power by adding more heat to maintain a steady stream. Too much heat and you'll notice tails starting to come through. When you start to smell tails, you can back off the heat a touch. This will ensure you get to the last of the hearts and tails before heavy tails start to kick in. Once you've reached the heavy tails, collect the tails in the same way that you collected the heads, with small numbered containers. Turn the voltage controller to 100%. Collect the faints, the remaining spirit, between 20 to 30% ABV. The spirit won't be used for blending, but you can keep this to add to future spirit runs. Once the spirit is below 20% ABV, turn the boiler off and disconnect it from the power outlet. Turn off the water supply and allow the boiler contents to cool before discarding. At the end of your distillation, you'll have collected heads, hearts and tails. Blend these cuts together to your preference, age and enjoy responsibly. And that's how to run a distillation with the Create Plus 2-inch components. To learn more, visit our website, stillspirits.com.